Greetings world, we are anonymous. On June 21, the editorial board of The Washington Post, long a propaganda instrument believed to be in cahoots with the CIA and the deep state, called for more sanctions and more pressure on Russia. 1 second's thought is sufficient to realize how bad this advice is. The orchestrated demonization of Russia and its president began in the late summer of 2013 when the British Parliament and Russian diplomacy blocked the neocon Obama regime's planned invasion of Syria. An example had to be made of Russia before other countries began standing up to Washington. While the Russians were focused on the Sochi Olympic Games, Washington staged a coup in Ukraine, replacing the elected democratic government with a gang of Banderite neo-Nazi thugs whose forebears fought for Hitler in World War II. Washington claimed it had brought democracy to Ukraine by putting neo-Nazi thugs in control of the government. Washington's thugs immediately began violent attacks on the Russian population in Ukraine. Soviet war memorials were destroyed. The Russian language was declared banned from official use. Instantly, separatist movements began in the Russian parts of Ukraine that had been administratively attached to Ukraine by Soviet leaders. Crimea, a Russian province since the 1700s, voted overwhelmingly to separate from Ukraine and requested to be reunited with Russia. The same occurred in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. These independent actions were misrepresented by Washington and the prostitutes who were for Washington as a Russian invasion. Despite all facts to the contrary, this misrepresentation continues today. In U.S. foreign policy, facts are not part of the analysis. The most important fact that is overlooked by the Washington Post and the Russophobic members of the U.S. government is that it is an act of insanity to call for more punishment and more pressure on a country with a powerful military and strategic nuclear capability whose military high command and government have already concluded that Washington is preparing a surprise nuclear attack. Are the Washington Post editors trying to bring on nuclear Armageddon? If there was any intelligence present in the Washington Post, the newspaper would be urging that President Trump immediately call President Putin with reassurances and arrange the necessary meetings to defuse the situation. Instead, the utterly stupid editors urge actions that can only raise the level of tension. It should be obvious even to the Washington Post morons that Russia is not going to sit there, shaking in its boots, and wait for Washington's attack. Putin has issued many warnings about the West's rising threat to Russian security. He has said that Russia will never again fight a war on its own territory. He has said that the lesson he has learned is that if a fight is unavoidable, strike first. He has also said that the fact that no one hears his warnings makes the situation even more dangerous. What explains the deafness of the West? The answer is arrogance and hubris. As the prostitute media is incapable of reason, I will do their job for them. I call for an immediate face-to-face meeting between Trump and Putin at Reykjavik. Cold War II, begun by Clinton, George W. Bush, and Obama, must be ended now. So, where is President Trump? Why is the President of the United States unable to rise to the challenge? Why isn't he the man Ronald Reagan was? Is it, as David Stockman says, that Trump is incapable of anything except tweeting? Why hasn't President Trump long ago ordered all intercepts of Russian chatter gathered, declassified, and made public? Why hasn't Trump launched a criminal prosecution against John Brennan, Susan Rice, Comey, and the rest of the hit squad that is trying to destroy him? Why has Trump disarmed himself with an administration chosen by Russophobes and Israel? As David Stockman writes, Trump is up against a deep state/dem/neocon/mainstream media prosecution and has no chance of survival short of an aggressive offensive against those working to destroy him. But there is no Trump offensive, because the man is clueless about what he is doing in the White House and is being advised by a cacophonous coterie of amateurs and nincompoops. So he has no action plan except to impulsively reach for his Twitter account. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.